All right, thanks for joining us today on Compound Interesting. I am Brendan Kelly, financial advisor with LPL, opened my own firm, Fort Myers Wealth Management Group. We're here today talking about my very favorite subject, me. I have my director of operations, Catherine Bird, here to interview me today. It's kind of like an ask me anything that I want her to ask me, and I'm only going to put it out there if it's cool. So it's nothing like what you're used to. I say that only half joking. I do want to use this program to bring truth to light and to tell our stories. Soon, I will be interviewing Catherine, and she didn't know that till just now. But today, it's all about me. I want you to know where I come from, professionally, a little bit personally. You should know these types of things about your advisor. If you're going to work with them, remember, for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you should know who you're sitting across the desk from. So we are here. We are ready. Personal/professional interview. Hopefully some interesting questions. Again, reminding you, I don't know what she's going to ask. I assume it's going to be pretty medium. I don't think she would set me up for failure, but she's so nice that it wouldn't surprise me if she had a very evil side. So without further ado, a little bit of an Ask Me Anything for Brendan Kelly.
All right, so we're going to start off just with the basics. As everyone is tuning in for this show, Brendan, what was your purpose for starting this show?
Starting this show was multi-pronged, but a couple things. One of my dad's favorite sayings was that there was nothing better than the sound of his own voice, and he passed that on to me. So I figured if there was a way that I could fill the world with a half hour or hour of my own voice every week, this was the best way to do it. I do want to use this as a way to increase the size of my business and the scope of my practice, remembering everyone has a conflict of interest, and that is mine. I am trying to earn business here. On top of that, there are some fundamental truths that need to be put out there into the world, and there is some foundational education that traditional schools do not offer. So I hope to educate. I hope to potentially win some business from some folks who fit our scope, and no matter what, you are going to leave this program every week feeling maybe a little scared, but at least informed.
And you chose radio as your medium to reach out to most prospects, most clients. Tell me a little bit about why, besides loving the sound of your own voice, tell me why you chose maybe as radio instead of what all the new millennials are doing, YouTube, Twitter. How do you value the radio show to reach?
Yeah, so radio, I still listen to the radio. I think it speaks a lot to the people that I'm trying to reach as far as a clientele base. And we will also be porting all of these magnificent ways to fill the atmosphere with my voice over to the other traditional digital outreach efforts. I also do write, currently it's a monthly newsletter. It is personal and yet also touches on a lot of the truths and education that folks need. It really was mostly about wanting to be able to sit and hear myself talk for 30 minutes or an hour every week. Again, half joking. But reaching as many people as fast as we can with some information that they aren't going to get anywhere else.
And then tell me a little bit about outside of work, your home life, family.
Yeah.
Favorite things.
Again, on the previous show, we mentioned somebody who considers this a mission and not a job. When I am at home, spend most of my time with my wife and my two children who are 6 and 4. That being said, during downtimes, even at home or downtimes after the kids are asleep, I am busy with spreadsheets and research reports, and I am obsessed not only with finances, risk management strategies, understanding markets from forever ago, not just stock markets, but you can go way back and find all kinds of different markets throughout history. I'm obsessed with numbers. I am obsessed with my mission. So at home, it's kind of a combination of family and work, except when we go to Disney, and then I am fully checked out, And if you call me when I'm there and I answer, you should be very surprised. So that's my getaway. We love to do it. A lot of people don't like the whole experience. We have found a way to make it very, very relaxing, yet also entertaining for us and the kids. So mostly home, work, and Disney. I'm sitting here realizing that's all I do.
Homework and Disney.
That's it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the mission, because our first episode, we spoke quite a bit about your mission to do this. Tell me what kind of created this mission. How did this mission come about?
A lot of this sort of percolated all at the same time. I was seeing a lot of folks in the same situations, with a lot of the same products being sold to them. People listening right now, this is you. You don't know it. It's okay to not know it. It's uncomfortable to hear some of this, but it's also true. The more comfortable you are with a product that you own, the more concerned I am for you. That's the mission, right? Is to at least give you the truth and the knowledge so that you can evaluate your own situation and maybe hire a different kind of lifelong advisor as opposed to just kind of working through the next however many months or maybe a couple years with a salesperson. So the mission is very specific. It's better told sometimes, some of those specifics, on a one-on-one basis. So if you want to know exactly what I'm talking about, you should call or email bk@fmwmg.com. You can call us 239-689-9364. Yes, that sounded a little bit like an infomercial, but it's important that you talk to someone who knows what they're talking about and who's going to tell you the truth.
Enough about Brendan for right now.
No.
All the clients that you meet with, what is the one question that you get asked the most?
So most of my clientele is in either the near retirement stage or the retired phases of their life. I do work with a handful of younger folks, but the question that I've probably received the most is, what kind of risk does this have? And this is part of the mission, and it's crystallized a lot for me. The misunderstanding and the confusion between volatility and risk. Risk is not your investment going up and down. Risk is permanent loss of capital. Volatility is stuff moving around. And there are products out there that reduce volatility to the point of significantly increasing your risk. So what's my risk here? And then a total reframing of that risk.
Would you say that's probably the most annoying thing that you hear from other advisors?
Oh, yeah, that's a long list. So the biggest issue that I have with a lot of this industry is that advisors also, the average advisor, doesn't understand a lot of this. The average advisor is trained to sell. Bad. Because I'll tell you, one of the first bits of advice I got when I got into this industry, and I got this from a very large firm, learn 5 mutual funds, learn a couple annuities, and get out there and start selling. And that's not real financial advice. All right. Thanks for joining us today on Compound Interesting. This is Brendan Kelly, under the microscope of Catherine Bird, our Director of Operations. Under her very strenuous questioning here, we are letting it all out. So we'll get back to it.
Was there a specific situation with a client or a certain scenario that made the most impact for you?
Yeah, definitely. And again, several of them happened all at once. But I was reviewing financial plans for folks in their early-ish 60s or late-ish 50s. And they had a quiver of different products and understanding of those products that was completely wrong. Not their fault. The way it was described or sold to them was straight up false. Maybe not even the advisor's fault, because advisors don't understand a lot of these complicated products. It is the advisor's job to educate themselves to the point of trying to achieve, as close as you can be in this industry, expert status, especially if you're going to be out there pushing products. So specifically, there were some folks who had some variable annuities who thought they were okay and thought they would be okay. And due to the structure of some of their investments and some of their desires from their financial plan, they were not going to be okay. So we had to change tracks.
And talking about changing tracks, this change that you recently made, how has it impacted you? And what are some great benefits that have already started to come from making that change?
From moving independent?
Correct.
So the advisor world is a strange, dark place to be. When you work for one of the big firms, clients walk through all the time because of different relationships that they might already have with your firm. You're trained to sell. Some people get really good at it.
Do you think they see that as a revolving door almost for some of those other firms?
Yeah. And even when I was tied to it, when I left the big one and moved independent, I think I know I had 460 households, and I had just sent out about 150. And we'll cover more. What does send out mean? Why would you do that? Well, more to come. So I had 460 households. I really was not able to service all of them appropriately. Anyone who says they can, yeah, right. So I didn't want the most important people in my life outside of my family, which is my clients. I didn't want them to be a number. I don't think you can service 500 households and do anyone the proper service that you should be providing. So if we ever get to that number again, it's because we have 10 people on staff. And being in the independent space through LPL, who was kind of the big corporation behind us, my firm, again, our firm, Fort Myers Wealth Management Group, it allows us the opportunity to work with who we want to work with, how we want to work with them, and it allows us to design individualized and customized investment strategies that make sense for their income needs. Again, most of the folks that we work with, as you of course know, they're retired. They are living off the income of their portfolio. So designing complex income portfolios with the potential for growth, because the market going down 50% tomorrow is not my greatest fear for clients. My greatest fear is the compound effects of inflation every single year. So a lot more freedom to manage money and a lot more freedom to work with folks because I'm working with less of them.
Other than more freedom to work hand on hand, why not just keep trucking along? Why not stay there, continue receiving more and more clients? Why take the initiative?
I came to the conclusion, because I was told by some folks at the firm, that me reviewing certain strategies for ongoing suitability to their specific financial plans was not going to be tolerated anymore. And if I would love to share the details if you call 239-689-9364 or email bk@fmwmg.com.
Your existing clients that you have now, if we were to ask them anything about you specifically, and I know that they're going to say that you love the sound of your own voice, because we talk about that quite often, but what is the positive that they're going to say?
He answers his phone. I would say that's definitely one of them. We pride ourselves on client contact because, again, if you're going to be with somebody for a multiple amount of decades, you're going to want to take their phone call when they call. In fact, this is kind of a down a different rabbit hole, but there's some really manipulative sales training that is offered through the large firms where they teach you how to not answer your phone in order to create an air of importance. So it's just like, and again, Googleable, it never sat well with me. Best thing about Brendan is that I understand what I'm invested in. I know that there are different parts of my investment that will react differently to different markets, and he always has time for me, or he'll make time for me. One of our most recent clients that we just onboarded a handful of months ago, we spent about 4.5 hours total across several meetings sitting in my office, actually showing him the different trade screens, what I'm looking for with regards to client investments so that he could really get a sense for what it is that I do all day if I'm not at Disney.
So clients have the opportunity to be as hands-on as they want. They can come to the office, see the trades place. They have all of that opportunity.
Absolutely. And if you're working with somebody for 10, 20, 30 years, remembering that life expectancy is probably higher than you know, how do you not have that accessibility? If you wanted to see your doctor, you would schedule an appointment and you would go sit and talk with them. Why is that not the same for our industry? Because most advisors are handling 300, 400, 500 households by themselves at the very largest of corporations. So yeah, you want to go spend 3.5 hours sitting in an office with your advisor at the really large firm, they're going to tell you to pound sand. If you're just joining us, this is Brendan Kelly from Fort Myers Wealth Management Group. We are here on Compound Interesting today, talking about something that I find interesting. I hope you do too. We're talking about me. We feel like you should get to know your advisor on a deep personal and professional level if you are going to have a multi-decade relationship. So this is a good way for me to share the story with a lot of people all at once.
We have this saying quite a bit where we're not chained to our desk anymore. So when you talk about being with clients for the next 10, 20, 30 years, what does that mean when you're not chained to your desk?
With regards to that multi-decade client experience, that's family. If you know someone for 30 plus years, I mean, that's really mostly gonna be family. And if you're gonna sit and have a real deep, sometimes difficult conversation with somebody about their finances, a lot of the time sitting at a desk isn't gonna do it. And so we believe family conversations happen around a kitchen table. So actually at our office, we don't have a conference table. It's a kitchen table. It looks like a kitchen. We have snacks that no one has taken yet. The world has gotten very healthy. So we're going to start replacing our chips with kale chips. At the kitchen table is where real stuff happens. And whether that's your kitchen table or mine, that's where we should really have the difficult conversation.
This next question is my favorite. Most people know financial advisors love golf. Anytime they can get out to the golf course, they're out there. So Brendan, I have to ask you, what does your golf game look like?
That is an excellent question. It's something I pride myself on. I am the worst golfer of any financial advisor I've ever met or will ever meet. I have been invited to play golf once and not invited back. And I have been asked to play on tournament teams so that they could raise their handicap. I do like fishing, but you can only do it so much. And being out there multiple hours on a boat will beat you up a lot harder than a day on the course. Horrible at golf. Just as bad, and I'm not exaggerating. There have been times where in front of clients I have swung and missed the ball. I go through an entire, and to toot my own horn, I am fairly athletic, but I am the worst golfer you've ever met, and I pride myself on that.
Hit anyone before?
No humans, and nothing that I would testify to, but I can't imagine I've gotten through all of these devastating rounds of golf without breaking a window or a shingle.
That was my favorite question to ask. The weekly bonus questions.
Yeah.
Who comes up with those questions?
Me, but really my son. His name is Sean. He is, so I have many interesting OCD type qualities, which you might be able to tell. If you spent some time with me, you would definitely be able to tell. And he has some of those as well. But his obsession from a young age has been dinosaurs and prehistoric mammals. That will always be what the bonus question will revolve around each week. All right, so the answer to this week's bonus question of what was the largest land-based carnivorous mammal of all time, that would be Andrewsarchus. It was approximately the size of a horse, but ferocious like a hyena, kind of a combination. More of a scavenger than a full-on hunter. And that information comes to us from my 6-year-old son.
And what would you say is a quote that you live by?
So I love quotations. One of them is from a famous financial author. And I'll paraphrase because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it is, once you determine that mediocrity is unacceptable, your only two choices are excellence or quitting. And that really, really pulled me through the decision to go independent. I knew that I couldn't go to work every day and sell people products and then go home and look in my children's face and let them know that I did my best. That may sound cliche, but that is truly how I feel. I do have a bit of a mantra every morning. It's very simple. Thanks for everything. Safe, happy, healthy as long as we can.
And a few questions from the show last week. We spoke a little bit about inflation, but how does inflation affect someone?
Right. So if you have a stream of income, $1,000, 10 years from now, that $1,000 is not going to buy $1,000 worth of goods and services. And so if you construct a financial plan today that delivers you $2,500 per month, right? 10 years from now, if your plan is still generating $2,500 per month, you are not able to buy the same amount of goods and services. This is part of the mission, is understanding that you might be shuffling around. Actually, there is an odds-on chance that you will be shuffling around this great earth into your mid-80s, maybe your late 80s, potentially your 90s, maybe more. If medical advances continue on the same road that they have over the past handful of decades, we don't have prediction about life expectancies is almost as difficult as predicting the markets. You need to prepare. You can't assume you're going to not be here. You can't have your worst case scenario being turning 100 and running out of money. You turn 100, you want to be able to throw a party.
But also, we hear, are they going to increase interest rates? Are they going to lower the interest rates? For someone who already has a portfolio, how does that affect them?
In a lot of different ways, especially with the bulk of the clients that we work with. Although interest rates affect everything for everyone, particularly a lot of the products in the market today will start to look pretty stupid when interest rates go up. And there is no crystal ball about when that might happen, but I'm not saying if. The only constant is change. All right, thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, this is Brendan Kelly from Fort Myers Wealth Management Group here on Compound Interesting, talking about one of the most interesting things in the entire world, me. Again, half joking. Catherine, our Director of Operations, is interviewing me today, so we're going to get back to it.
And so on the news stations, you can always hear them talking back and forth. Do they think they're going to lower it? Do they think it's going to stay the same? But you always hear them say a take on whether something is bearish or bullish. What does that mean when people say, oh, I'm bullish on this?
Couple good questions. First and foremost, each Fed meeting is worried about by humanity much more than it should be. There's a lot of factors to that. Really better for a one-on-one conversation. Call us or email us. Bullish basically means you think whatever that thing is, because there's a lot of things you can measure in the markets if you just take a stock. If you are bullish, you think it's going to go up. If you are bearish, you think it's going to go down. I posit to you and to anyone listening, it doesn't matter as long as you prepare for all relevant scenarios. And if someone starts telling you what something is going to do, leave their office.
Brendan, thank you for letting me put you on the spot. What is something that you want our listeners to take away?
Distributing a lot of truth here that can be backed up by facts and claims through the magnificent internet. I want you to be worried enough to get yourself into a good situation. But then once you're there, you should relax. You should know You have someone who is preparing. You can't just prepare and then walk away. You must always prepare and manage, preparing for all relevant outcomes. It can be done. It's not a silver bullet, but I do want you to worry because I think there's a very good chance that you're not in the situation that you think you are. I think that one of the biggest problems I see is a complete misunderstanding of what someone's advisor does for them. I see a lot of sales in this industry. I see a lot of clients believing that they are being advised and managed. The difference between that needs to come to light. And then, if you say, I like my advisor, they take me golfing twice a year, I now understand. They send me a ham at Thanksgiving because that's the, here's a little something for you. The firms understand that Christmas time is overrated, so they recommend that you not do too much at Christmas. Instead, pick a different holiday. That way you stand out amongst the gifts that they receive. I'm talking about you, the listener. Yes, it is that manipulative. If you say, well, I kind of like the Thanksgiving ham. I like to go golfing twice a year. I accept the fact that I am being sold to, and I'm good. Then keep signing on the dotted line. You probably don't need to listen in here too much more. But if some of this worries you, there's a reason for that. There are people out there who care. The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, or financial advisor, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC. These are hypothetical examples and are not representative of any specific situation. Your results will vary. The hypothetical rates of return used do not reflect the deduction of fees and charges inherent to investing. Stock investing involves risk, including loss of principal. The payment of dividends is not guaranteed. Companies may reduce or eliminate the payment of dividends at any given time. Bonds are subject to market and interest rate risk if sold prior to maturity. Bond values will decline as interest rates rise, and bonds are subject to availability and change in price. An investment in exchange-traded funds structured as a mutual fund or unit investment trust involves the risk of losing money and should be considered as part of an overall program, not a complete investment program. An investment in ETFs involves additional risks such as not diversified, price volatility, competitive industry pressure, international political and economic developments, possible trading halts, and index tracking errors. Investing in mutual funds involves risk, including possible loss of principal.